The stench of death clung to Denver like a shroud, a tangible reminder of its fall. Buildings, once testaments to human ambition, now stood as skeletal silhouettes against the bruised twilight. John, his grip on Sarah's hand a testament to his mounting fear, knew this wasn't a nightmare. It was their reality. The flickering neon of a shattered billboard cast a grotesque, pulsating red glow on the decaying cityscape, illuminating the family huddled in the shadow of a splintered bus stop. Emily, a wisp of a girl barely 10, clutched her father's leg, her eyes wide with terror that mirrored his own. Thomas, a year younger, clung to his mother, his whimpers barely audible over the guttural moans that echoed from the street. Their sanctuary, a crumbling monument to a world gone mad, offered little comfort as the air crackled with tension. "We can't stay here," John said, his voice raspy with desperation. The horde, a writhing mass of decaying flesh and hungry eyes, shuffled closer, their movements like the inexorable march of death itself. Sarah, her nurse's instincts now honed to survival, met his gaze. "The forest is our only chance," she said, her voice firm, but laced with a desperation she fought to conceal. The forest, a verdant haven whispered about in hushed tones, lay beyond the city's northern edge. Tales of survivors, of a refuge beyond the reach of the infected, had given them hope. It was a gamble, but it was all they had. With meager supplies strapped to their backs, the family set off, their footsteps muffled by the layers of decaying leaves and the unnerving silence that clung to the deserted streets. As they neared the edge of the city, a piercing scream sliced through the silence. A woman, her clothes tattered and her face etched with horror, stumbled into their path. Her eyes, wild and desperate, were fixated on the forest. She pointed towards the towering pines, her voice a choked whisper. They are coming!" A guttural roar, primal and terrifying, echoed from the trees, sending shivers down their spines. The woman, her face contorted in a mask of terror, pointed again, her finger trembling. Then, with a final desperate glance over her shoulder, she stumbled back, disappearing into the growing horde that pressed closer. John knew there was no time for questions. He scooped Thomas into his arms, a weight that felt heavier than ever. Sarah, her face grim, gripped Emily's hand, and they ran. They ran blindly into the forest, the screams of the undead and the pounding of their own hearts, the only sounds that filled their ears. They ran until their lungs burned and their legs screamed for respite, but the fear that fueled their flight kept them moving. The trees, a towering, oppressive wall, swallowed them whole. Finally, exhausted and trembling, they collapsed beneath the sprawling branches of a massive oak, its trunk a testament to time and survival. Sarah pulled the children close, her hand a reassuring presence in their fear. John, his heart hammering in his chest, felt the crushing weight of their situation. They had escaped the city, but the forest, with its chilling silence and unseen dangers, felt like a new kind of prison. The darkness held a different kind of terror. The rustling of leaves, the snapping of twigs, every sound amplified by their fear. The city had been a battlefield, but the forest was a lurking predator, its every corner holding the potential for unseen dangers. John stood, his hand on the rough bark of the oak, a silent promise to protect his family. He knew the journey was far from over. They had faced the nightmare of the city, but the unknown perils of the forest presented a new challenge. They had no idea what dangers lurked in the shadows, or if they would find the haven they desperately sought. But as they huddled together, their breaths mingling in the darkness, a flicker of hope remained. They were survivors. They had faced the nightmare, and they would face whatever lay ahead together.